Well, hello everyone. My name is Chris Harris, and this is How Do Endotherms Regulate Heat? So, the first thing you may be wondering is, well, what is an endotherm? Good question. So, an endotherm is an animal that can regulate its internal heat. Endotherms are also sometimes referred to as warm blooded animals, like this guy, and my favorite, this guy. And now that you know what an endotherm is, we can discuss their characteristics. There are many similar attributes that are common to endothermic organisms, such as fur and fat. You'll find that endothermic organisms have these characteristics to maintain or regulate their temperature. An organism's physiological mechanisms that work to maintain a constant internal environment in the face of external factors that vary over a broad range is referred to as homeostasis. The term was coined by this curious looking fellow, physiologist Claude Bernard, in 1878. This is the mitochondria, the organelle responsible for generating power in a cell, and also it is how endothermic organisms generate their heat. An ectothermic organism may only have a few mitochondria, whereas an endothermic organism would usually have many more, which help the endothermic organism maintain its temperature. Also, to maintain this temperature, some endothermic organisms have a countercurrent blood flow. This is when blood in the arteries coming from the core of the organism is affecting the temperature of the blood in the veins, which is coming from the extremities of the organism. This physiological mechanism can be used to hold heat within the core of the organism or to cool the core of the organism. If the blood flowed concurrently, much less heat would be transferred. Countercurrent flow optimizes the heat transfer process. Penguins and polar bears effectively use this as they walk on the freezing ice. The heat stays within their core due to the countercurrent blood flow, and it never reaches their feet, so the heat is not wasted. The elephant uses blood flow to stay cool in the warm African and Asian environment. Let's take a look at their ears. Warm blood from the heavily insulated body flows into the ear where the skin is much less thick. This cools the blood by releasing heat as the blood flows through veins back to the core of the organism. The toucan's body also uses similar techniques to regulate their body temperature. For a time, the functionality of the large beak was a mystery, but now it is known that this beak helps the toucan regulate body temperature by releasing heat. Hibernating is a physiological mechanism that helps endothermic organisms survive cold temperatures where the organism, the typical example being a bear, sleeps through a long period of cold temperatures. Hibernation is considered a physiological mechanism because it is brought on by the release of hormones by the body. What are the advantages of being endothermic? Due to the endothermic organism's internal heater, they are not as restricted to climate, meaning that they can stay in more diverse locations. This is why you find endotherms all over our planet, from warm temperatures around the equator to either freezing poles. Okay, so what are the disadvantages of being endothermic? Well, an endothermic organism has a very high metabolism, so it requires that they eat lots more than an ectothermic would. And that concludes this short presentation on endotherms. I hope you guys learned a lot, and thanks for watching.